Whew, let's talk about the blues today, folks, my all-time favorite genre. Now, I've heard a lot of guitar players say that playing the blues is easy, but if you go back and do your homework, it is anything but, I would say. If y'all want to check out Blind Lemon Jefferson from the early 1900s, one of the earliest blues pioneers, I don't think many guitar players could do what he's doing, and he was singing at the same time, but I digress. Now, I am a white American living in 2026. I am not an authentic blues player. It is a black American music, but I've listened to a lot of it. I have a deep love and respect for the blues, and I just want to try and share what I know with y'all. So let's get into it. Now, I think one of the reasons why some people think the blues is easy is because playing the blues scale is easy, or the minor pentatonic, which is similar. So we all know pentatonic. Here's A minor pentatonic. And then here's the A minor blues scale. We got that extra blue note in there, right? E flat in this case. I'm not going to go into those scales right now. We're going to be talking more about licks and stuff today, but maybe I'll do a more beginner lesson on the scales themselves at some point if people show interest. Anyway, there's a lot of different concepts and things that I could talk about with the blues, but one of the main things that I want to focus on today is blending between the minor and the major pentatonic. And also knowing when to do that is really important. So if you're playing over a regular blues form, which is of course the 1 chord for 4 bars, 4 chord for 2 bars, 1 chord for 2 bars, then the 5 for 1 bar, 4 for a bar, and then there's different turnarounds, but back to the 1 for 2 bars, and then it repeats. Anytime you're playing on that and you have dominant chords, you can kind of do this blending between major and minor. So if this is our A7 chord, it'll sound good to play a major pentatonic or the minor pentatonic. So what we want to do is get really comfortable with those two scales and be able to blend them. And the way that I'm going to demonstrate this today is we're going to take a look at a blues song that I really enjoy. It is called I Just Can't Leave You by Slim Harpo. I have my laptop right here. I'm actually going to play it for y'all. So let's take a listen to start off. Whew. That's what I'm talking about. So we're just going to take a look at that very intro part right there, and we're going to learn those parts. And then I had a fun idea. We're actually going to take everything that he plays in the minor pentatonic and play the same riffs in the major, and then vice versa. All the major riffs that he plays, we're going to play in the minor pentatonic. So you can hear how it's kind of interchangeable and the different sounds of that. Highly recommend listening to that whole song if you feel like it. It is smoking. And one of the things also that makes the blues difficult is they're usually playing on the offbeats and getting that swing feel. So sometimes on the and in between the beats, or sometimes just on the snare hits like 2 and 4, and it gives it like a syncopated sort of feel and just a lot of style, and they're making a statement when you listen to this music. So let's dig into it. So right there, let's take a look at that first riff. And when you're transcribing anything, I think the most important place to start is learning the chords that you're playing over, because then you know how the notes you're playing and the melodies relate to those chords. And in the blues, that's the easiest genre to basically figure out the chords, because a lot of the times it's that standard progression that I mentioned earlier in this lesson. So in this case, it's going to be F sharp blues, or G flat, as guitar players say F sharp. So this first lick here, that is classic F sharp major pentatonic. So we got on the B string 14, 16, and then on the E string 14, 16, and we're going to bend that up whole step and then land back on 14. The notes, we got C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, and then we're bending that G sharp up. And those are all related to an F sharp 7 chord. It's all in the major scale. So we're getting some really nice colors in there. So let's tackle this next lick now. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, where you can weave in between major and minor. And that is, I think, what gives you the most masterful kind of blues sound. And that's what a lot of the old blues masters did. And also, Duane Allman, you can hear doing that a lot in the Allman Brothers. So it's how blues kind of evolved in the classic rock. You can kind of hear that in like Whipping Post or really anything that he plays. So let's listen. Alright, so that next lick's going to be like this. This is going to be minor pentatonic, so we're bending up the E note there, 17 on the B string, and that's going to be the root, bending up to F sharp. And then he does this really cool, it's a quick pull-off. It's a real quick there, the way he plays it, and that's an important part of transcribing, of course, is listening to exactly, you want to copy the exact style that they're playing, because that's how we want to learn. You know, we want to learn to play like Slim Harpo in this case. So we got, and that's going to be 17 to 14 on the B string, a pull off, and then we're going to go to the blue note here, which is a C, or 17 on the G string. I'm used to saying it in the note names instead of the frets, but anyway, then we're sliding down 16, 14, and then hitting the root F sharp, which is going to be on the D string, 16. So that riff, or that lick slowly. And up to speed. And then we'll play this little part right after. Again, classic minor pentatonic, minor blues scale here. So we're going to do 14 on the G string, 16, back to 14, bend it up, bend it twice. So let's put those two licks together because they kind of are played back to back in the recording. It's like... Now let's listen from the beginning and we'll tackle the next lick. Whew, that's a perfect example of blending the minor and major. So we're going to be on the B string. We're going to play 10, bend that 12 up nice and slow. And then 10, 12, 11, which is the major third of F sharp. Then 11 on the G string, 11 on the D string. Slowly. That's such a cool lick. And even trying to play along with the recording, it's really hard to get the notes to fall exactly in the same place as on the recording. So like I said, you know, playing the blues scale is easy, playing the blues, not easy. And that's what's so cool about it. So now we're going to take all the minor riffs and play them in the major scale and vice versa, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's start with this first lick. Very major, right, over an F sharp 7. So we're going to take that same shape and pattern, but play it in the minor scale. So what that means is we're going to start on the 17th fret, E note, and then we're going to hit our root, 19, and then 17 on the E string, we're just on the B string, 19 and bend it up. So now we got this in the minor sound. Still works, right? Totally different flavor, but it's awesome, it still works. So now let's take a look at this next one, the next lick here. So that's very minor, but here is our F sharp major scale. So basically we're going to bend up on 14 on the B string and repeat this same kind of lick here. 14 to 11 pull off. And then we're going to the G string, 14, the blue note, 13, 11, and then 13 on the D string. So... And then of course 11, 13, 11, bend that 13 up. So real quick, here's what the recording does. And then here it would be in F sharp major pentatonic. Totally different, but still works, right? So this last lick here, it's going to be a little bit weirder to transfer over because of this major third, but let's do it anyway. So we're going to be on 11 on the G string, hit 13 and bend it up, 11, 13, then we're going to hit our minor third instead of major, which is going to be 14, an A note, down to 11, and then 11 on the D string. So it'll be like... So it doesn't quite transfer as well, I would say, as the other ones, but nonetheless, you can take the notes from the major scale and transfer them to minor. So that was pretty much all I wanted to go through, just show you the blending of major and minor and how you can kind of apply it. And on the Patreon, we're of course going to dive deeper, and I'm going to show you some more bends, some more licks, and also just some more ways of thinking about the blues to play simpler. And then when you start playing the hard-hitting licks, it sounds even better. So that's $5 a month if you want to check that out. Otherwise, practice slow, play along with that recording if you dig it. And thanks so much for joining me, y'all.